Hey guys, it's Christian. So, the topic that I'm going to talk about for my persuasive essay is insecurity and bullying. Obviously, it's backwards in there. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out at the end, but we'll see. So, basically, with insecurities is whenever somebody has a lack of confidence, they don't believe in themselves, they have so much self doubt built up that they just can't be happy. It causes depression. So, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is value and self worth. So I have a thing over here. I believe it's the first one. There we go. I use Prezi for this. It says value self-worth. Insecurity, like I defined it before. Number 2 is understanding low self-esteem. There are many behaviors to causing low self-esteem, and it's actually pretty interesting because I suffer from low self-esteem. And these are a few of the things I'll list off. People with low self-esteem often suffer from panic attacks when they start to feel insecure or guilty. And it often leads to depression, and it leads to the person isolating themselves a lot from other people. So depression, the feeling of hopelessness, you've got hypersensitivity, very sensitive to other people's opinions, and they kind of take things to heart, take things really, really personally. Hypervigilance, which is fear of fitting in. And basically, the fear of fitting in is whenever you see all the cool kids trying to fit in with them, realizing that you can't because you can never compare to what they have. And one thing that I'm going to talk about later is that you need to realize that that's not the case. You're you, and that's not going to change, so you've got to accept the fact and be content with what you have and what you're given and who you are. So lack of assertiveness is another thing, lack of leadership skills, letting people walk all over you, and lack of self-confidence. As I said before, you can also develop OCD behaviors because you try to take it out on something else, and you're going to be a perfectionist because you don't feel like you can match up to what you believe is what you need to be. Another thing is a workaholic behavior. Working a lot is good, but it can also be bad. With insecurities, working a lot, you try to stay away from home, try to stay away from relationships, try to stay away from people, and that's not healthy because you need to associate, you need to involve yourself with groups and communities because it's the only way that you're going to get out there and have social skills, which is another thing that you suffer from with insecurities. You have poor relationship skills, poor social skills, therefore you're unhappy, you're more depressed, you have poor boundaries. So you basically let people do what they want and you don't say anything against it because you don't want to stand up for yourself because you're afraid of what other people are going to think and say about you or say to you or do to you. Another thing is self-sabotaging, self-harm, cutting, trying to kill yourself, suicidal thoughts. Another thing of self-sabotaging is always putting yourself down, which is even worse than others putting you down. Because if you start to believe that you're less than what you are, that's what leads to self-harm, and it actually does more harm than somebody else telling you. Because when somebody else is telling you, you have the option to take it or leave it, but when you're telling yourself that, then you just gotta take it, because you're obviously not going to believe otherwise because you're telling yourself that. You're not good enough. Another thing is the floaters, the ones who are easy to give up on things. Jump from one job to the next, because they don't think they can put up with it. They don't want to, so they're going to jump and jump and jump. Ones who can't stay with a certain group of friends. They've always got to jump from friendship to friendship, or they jump from relationship to relationship because they don't feel good enough and they need the attention. Another thing is the needy ones, the ones who always need somebody to be there for them because they don't feel like they can live life themselves. There's a good needy and there's a bad needy. You do need people there to encourage you, to lift you up, not to take care of you constantly and be your mom. That's not okay. Because once you're an adult, that's going to end real fast and you're going to realize it. Another thing is sexual dysfunction anxiety. So basically, sexual dysfunction anxiety is whenever you start to have lack of, I want to say, sexual, I don't know how to describe it. Sexual dysfunction anxiety is basically you not being as interested in sex anymore because you're so unhappy, you're so depressed, you just can't have that in your life because you don't feel good enough. You feel like you're always being compared to something when you even try to engage in sexual activity. And it's a touchy subject, it's a little awkward to talk about, but that's another thing that comes along with insecurities, and I thought I'd just mention it because it's something that was listed as well. Alright, another thing that I'm going to talk about is bad experience and abuse. So the next thing that I'm going to click on if I can, there it is. We've got, if you can see that, physical, verbal, and emotional. It's a little bright, but I'm going to talk about it. So physical is whenever somebody's actually physically touching you, physically hurting you, and that's not okay. You have to stand up for yourself when it gets to that point, and you have to leave because it's not going to get better. It's going to keep happening, and you can't escape it. And they have hotlines, they have shelters for people who suffer from that, so that's an option. Another thing is verbal abuse. Verbal abuse is whenever you're being yelled at all the time, when you're being told that you're not good enough, that you're worthless, that they're calling you names. I'm not going to mention any because you should automatically know what I'm talking about. Whenever they blame you for everything that goes wrong in their life, or you get blamed for something that they did to hurt you. Another thing is emotional abuse, and that kind of intertwines with it as well, which is why it's hard to depict the two from being different from each other, because it's just the same. Emotional abuse, though, is whenever you're made to feel worthless, and emotional abuse is basically leading you on, lying to you all the time, knowing that it's hurting you, but not caring. That's emotional abuse. And that's also what makes insecurities even worse, because you don't feel good enough and you tell yourself all the time, it's my fault. I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful. This is why he doesn't want me, because it's my fault. Something's wrong with me. No, don't listen to that. Don't keep telling yourself that, because that's not the case. They have something wrong with them and they're not ready for you because they don't deserve you. Another thing that I'm going to mention, and I believe it's the next slide, overcoming insecurities. So, first step, surround yourself with positive influences. Cancel the negativity out of your life. All the negative people that are bringing you down, giving their opinions that are unnecessary, go ahead and cancel them out, whether it be a person on Facebook that's constantly bringing you down, telling you that you're wrong all the time, or calling you names. Cancel them as a friend, whether it be friends in real life. Just leave. Don't be afraid to. You don't need that. You don't need them if they're not going to treat you how you deserve. And it's the first step you need to learn, is to walk away. Let it go. Understand that there will be other people that will treat you how you deserve. Learn that. Another thing is making yourself happy and putting yourself first. You don't need a relationship. You don't need friends. Sometimes you do, but you don't need the ones that put you down. So make yourself happy and put yourself first. Learn to go out by yourself. Go out to see a movie that you want to see. Go out to eat where you want to go. Learn to make yourself happy and do things yourself, and you will learn real fast that you don't need anybody but yourself in the end, because you will always have yourself. And last but not least, never listen to negative opinions. Only consider constructive criticism. The negative opinions don't matter because they're only out to make themselves feel better, which is why they say bad things to you. Constructive criticism is looking out for you, telling you, this is what I believe you're doing wrong, this is what you should be doing. Just, some constructive criticism. Constructive criticism isn't saying, well, you're this, you're that. You need to do this, you need to do that, because you're always screwing up somehow. No, it's basically saying, I noticed that you're doing this, and you should be doing this. So, there is a difference. Bullying is a big issue. I believe that all of us need to stop the hate, which is in my next slide, and this is pretty much my conclusion to this speech. Before the works cited, my call to action to you is love one another. Stop the hate. Stop judging. You're no better than anybody else. You're not entitled to anything. Understand that each and every individual is unique in every way. Everybody has their own purpose, their own journey, and we all need to be worried about ourselves instead of worrying about whose eyebrows are on fleek or whose makeup is better than the other person's, or what clothes we wear, or how we wear our hair, or who we choose to love. It's not important. What's important is loving each other, because hate cannot drive out hate, and just like Martin Luther King said, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So I am trying to persuade you to focus on stopping the hate, because there's too much of that in this world and we don't need to add to it. Here's my works cited. I don't believe you can see that well because of the bad quality on this phone, but I'm just gonna put it up there anyways for you to see. I thank you for listening to my speech. I hope you take it into consideration. So thank you for watching. Bye.